Verse 3, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. Now, he did not say that you're not in a battle. Okay? He just said that the battle that you're in is not according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, meaning pertaining to the flesh, but they are mighty in God for the pulling down of strongholds. Casting down, now it says arguments here in the New King James. I actually prefer the King James here better, and it says casting down imaginations. And every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Now, one of the things that I want you to notice here in this particular verse is that we're in a battle, and if you fight that battle according to natural means, it's not going to work. You have been provided weapons that are far superior to natural means to be able to get victory in your life. And those weapons are mighty through God for the pulling down of strongholds. What happens is the enemy tries to cause strongholds in your life. He tries to get a stronghold in a particular area of your life. And I want you to notice here the way that the Bible lays out that this happens in verse 5. In verse 5, it tells us to cast down. I'm going to use imaginations if you don't mind, okay? It says arguments, but these are arguments from the enemy. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself. Now I want to ask you this question. Casting down imaginations, where is your imagination? It's in your mind. Your imagination comes from what you think. So the battleground that the enemy uses, where he attacks you, is in your mind, in your thoughts. Have any of y'all ever been going along and you're just minding your own business, and all of a sudden what I like to call a renegade thought comes? I mean, you're not thinking about something. You may be thinking about what you're going to eat. You may be thinking about what you're going to do on Saturday. You may be just thinking, and then out of the clear blue, this wild stinking thought comes to your mind. And you start dwelling on it. You start thinking about it. And then it starts to produce worry in your life. That's what the enemy does. Now, you remember over in Matthew chapter 6, Jesus instructs us there. He says, take no thought saying. Remember, you're the one that operates in authority in the earth. You're the one that operates in authority in your life. And the main way that you operate or you exercise authority is by using your mouth. You decide things with your mind and you decree them with your mouth. You speak them with your mouth. Think of the way that you've seen movies think back in medieval times, and you've got a king that's sitting on the throne, and he declares something in the kingdom, and that's the way it is in the kingdom. And all of his little servants run around and they make sure that's what everybody does in the kingdom. That's a simplistic way, but that's the way it is in your life. You're the one that decrees things in your kingdom. You're the one that decides what happens in your kingdom. And the way that you put that into motion is with your mouth. You say stuff. Now then, if you one day are a bad king, then, and by that, how do we know if you're a bad king that day? Because you say bad stuff. Well, what happens is in your life, you're the king of your kingdom. So if bad stuff comes out of your mouth, that's what starts operating in your kingdom. Now, who's to blame for that? We are. Not your neighbor, not your family, not your teacher, not your employer. We are. But what happens is the enemy is trying to influence what it is that you decree in your kingdom. And so he'll bring thoughts to you, and they are thoughts that are contrary to the Word of God. And what he's trying to get you to do, he's trying to apply pressure to you to get you to vocalize, to speak, to declare wicked things in your life. And when you do that, when you open your mouth, when you take a thought saying, then it begins to set that thing in motion. Well, what happens is He'll first of all come and He'll put that seed into your mind, and you'll just start thinking about it. And that's all you'll do. You just think about it. And then it'll pop up again, and you'll start thinking about it. And then you'll get to where you think about it more and more and more until you give voice to it. And what happens is this thing gets to where it becomes a stronghold. So that's why when an imagination comes to you that is contrary to the Word of God, you've got to take authority over it. Casting down, remember we just read preceding this, that the weapons of your warfare are mighty through God for the pulling or the tearing down of strongholds. How do you do that? You cast down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and you bring into captivity every what? Every what? Every thought to what? The obedience of Christ. If it doesn't have to do with the Word, if it doesn't have to do with obeying God, then get it out of your life.